I don't want to get caught in here. That will stay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron Ford. I'm here as chairman of the King County Development Committee. We are ready to start. It is of the hour 10 o'clock. Or can we have roll call?
Berman,
Herman's here.
Doherty,
Doherty's here.
Iqbal,
Iqbal present.
Kenyon,
Been in here.
Linder. Was that? Okay. Davis,
Davis here.
Tyus, Williams,
Williams present.
Ford,
Board present.
Tepe,
Happy here.
here. Here. You have quorum.
Thank you. Could I have approval of a minutes from November 15th?
I'm moving unanimous approval of.
Mi-
the minutes.
Mr. Ch-
All right.
Mr. Chair, I have a modification, so I would just ask for that to be modified to a motion,
After
please.
modification.
All right.
I would second.
Second, then go ahead and do your modifications.
Just want to note that in section 9, it's listed as audited as opposed to Ogden Gardens, Ogden
Uh-huh.
for the minutes.
Any others? All right, that's been noted.
So now you got
No objections. that's all.
Right, no objections. Can we get a roll call?
Berman,
Yeah. Have to do it.
Oh,
Unanimous consent, you don't need the stupid roll call.
all right. So did you make unanimous consent? Okay, all right. I didn't catch that then. My apology.
with modification.
Any rejections? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. All right, public comments. I believe we have 2 speakers. Please state your name and where you're from.
Address and.
Is this on? Yeah, there you go. Drew Fraz, 1N 545 Brundage Road, Elburn. And I'm here to answer any questions on petition 4601 when that comes up for discussion. So
Okay,
I can wait till then.
that sounds good.
Okay.
We can do that. All right, next, I believe we have Elizabeth Myers. Is she online or?
Actually, yes, this is Fred Myers.
Okay.
He's my paralegal. Here we go.
Is this on agenda item or?
Yes, it's the petition to rezone 3S152 Bliss Road in Sugar Grove, Illinois, to subdivide that in the agricultural land to remain F and the house and surrounding 10 acres to be F1. And I'm also here to answer any questions that might come up today.
All right, thank you. Have Mel Pullman. I take it they're not here today. All right, so we'll move on to Building and Zoning Division.
Good morning, Mark Van Kerkhoff, Director of Development and Community Services for Building and Zoning Report this morning. First of all, I just want to welcome the new county board members. For those who are new to the board and on this committee, I did provide via email kind of a summary information about the Development and Community Services Department. So if you have any questions regarding that, I'm happy to fill you in more on our department and what we do. And answer any questions. Also for any current previous board members who are new on the committee, the offer is open to yourselves as well. I do want to just mention that I get the privilege of being here to report on the activities of our department at this meeting, but it's only because we have a great team of currently 18 folks in the Development and Community Services Department that do that work. We're located up on the 4th floor and open to a visit anytime. And if you have any questions, happy to answer those. The updates I have for you this morning, we are obviously watching the weather for later this week and seeing what impact that would have on our ability to do inspections on Friday, as well as just what that might mean for our team's operations. I'm sure the entire county and everyone who's got friends or family traveling on Friday are watching that. In terms of looking ahead, we're very grateful that the county board in its budget for this current year approved a new property code enforcement unit. I'm working with HR Director Jamie Labrillo and Director Jody Welnick on reviewing resumes, doing screening calls. We've conducted a number of interviews and looking forward to have that team in place for property code enforcement next year. And just a reminder, it's going to be housed in the Development and Community Services Department, but it's going to be a unit that will serve
Our
for
petition.
enforcement of all the county property related code ordinance items, from property maintenance to building zoning violations, stormwater violations, and property related health violations like well and septic. So happy to answer any questions on any of that. And just one last item coming up in January. We've been working with IT and with CityView on making improvements to our CityView program. When COVID hit, we quickly pivoted with IT's help to accepting our applications via email. In January, we hope to be launching a actual portal site, which will allow folks to enter information online and do attachments in a more fluid manner like you do in a lot of other websites, as opposed to just emailing us their information. So that's all I have for building and zoning this morning, other than the zoning petitions.
All right, any questions or comments on the building and zoning report,
I have a comment.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. Mark, when you get that website updated with the portal, could you please let Julie Mann know, I forgot what municipality I was reading in the paper, put it online, and they had a beautiful article about it. So I think that should be something we replicate here. So just public is aware.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we'll do that.
And sing the song of new improvements. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Watch them over here.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on to zoning petitions.
Okay, Blair's going to bring up the PowerPoint presentation. And just as a note, this is the first month that Development Committee has been prepared completely under the new agenda system. Typically in the past, we've had these PowerPoints as part of the agenda packet. This month, we had a glitch, so that didn't happen. These will be posted on the website and hopefully in the agenda packet for the full county board. But for your information, this will be in your packet in the future. So first petition is 4601, the Frost Family Trust, requesting a rezoning from F District Farming to E1 District Estate Residential and E3 District Estate Residential to allow a second residence parcel to be created north of the existing home. On our maps that we prepare for zoning, we always show the context of the 2040 land use map, which this represents. The blue is a area designated in the 2040 plan as resource management area, which can include a variety of different uses, including residential. The dark green is existing open space, in this case, part of the Mill Creek Greenway, which is owned by the King County Forest Preserve. And then what the map identifies as proposed open space is generally along corridors and areas where there's already streams, floodplains, wetlands, other areas of natural significance that the land use plan proposes to be kept in some kind of a protected or open space use. This is a section of the county's zoning map, and the subject parcels are highlighted in red. The parcel where there's the one happens to be the section number for the map, but that happens to be the existing parcel with the home, and it had a interim special use, which is since no longer being used on the property. The other two parcels are zoned F District Farming. You can see surrounding the site again, the Forest Preserve District to the east and to the south. To the north, there's a number of E1 zoned lots and then two lots that are zoned R1. And then to the west on the other side of Brundage Road, the PUD zoning that was for the settlements of LaFox, which has not, it's a development that has not been realized at this point, but the zoning is still there. The other thing just of note, Brundage Road is a protected road corridor under our rustic roads program, and I'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. Here is an aerial so that you can see on quite a broad view of the surrounding land uses. You can see some of the residential lots just to the north. You can also see the greenway for Mill Creek, both sort of the creek meanders and as well as oftentimes creeks in those areas have wooded areas as well. And this is just kind of a more zoom close-up of the subject property. And another close-up, you can see the existing home and outbuilding and what had been a yard used for the interim special use. And then you can see the other two lot configurations and the Mill Creek, which runs through. So the proposal would rezone the existing larger parcel with the existing house to E1 district estate of 4.59 acres. The E1 district has a 2-acre minimum lot size, and then the northern parcel would be reconfigured to be an E3 district estate, which is 1.26 acres. Here you can see the plat site development plan that was submitted, showing the existing lot to the south and the buildings, and then the proposed new configured E1 or E3 lot. Here's another plan showing the survey with the grades and some of the natural features and the floodplain identified. And here's another close-up of some of the detailed site work. So staff recommended comments. The county health department included any new construction is to meet all current well and septic codes. Water Resources Department has a number of stipulations dealing with the stormwater ordinance and the floodplain, as well as stipulations on fill. Director Welnick is here if you have any questions on the specifics. Number 3 deals with a conservation easement. Number 4 deals with the stormwater ordinance, and number 5 deals with put on most of these rezonings just to make sure it's clear that future development may trigger stormwater permit or stormwater detention. And then a final stipulation number 6 regarding use of the Plat Act. Staff recommended comments that the rezoning will allow a second buildable lot to be created north of the existing home. Regional Planning Commission, this was not applicable because it's consistent with the 2040 plan. Historic Preservation Commission reviewed this because of its status as a rustic road, and they had no objection to the rezoning and the introduction of a new single-family residence. Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval with the stipulations were recommended by staff. There weren't any objectors, and it's before you this morning for your discussion and recommendation that will then go on to the full county board. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And as you know, Mr. Fraz is here as well.
All right. Thank you. Questions,
I
Mr.
would
Kenyon?
move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any questions or comments?
I'll just leave that motion second.
Okay.
I have a question, not in opposition to this, but more generally speaking. When you have a historic road, and we have what, 3, 4 of them in the county? 4? or
3 of them, I think.
3 of them, okay. How do we control development on these roads? Is it going through historic preservation? Is it going through zoning to make sure that this being the case, and this is fine, but what if there's a replication and we end up with having a series of large lot homes, estate lot homes on a historic road?
Sure. So as part of the designation process for each of our rustic road corridors, there's a road corridor management plan that was adopted along with that. And each road corridor management plan is unique And each section of the road is somewhat unique depending on whether the adjacent property owner included their parcel in the road corridor management plan or whether it's not in the road corridor management plan. But in either case, the Historic Preservation Commission reviews any proposed rezonings or development plans for consistency with the road corridor management plan, and then includes their recommendation along with the general zoning board recommendation for rezoning and future developments. So in this case, this proposal, this zoning petition was forwarded to the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. They reviewed it at one of their meetings, had discussion on it and made their recommendation that they didn't have any objection. But in some cases, they could make recommendations like there'd be further setback or there'd be some screening or even, recommend denial if it was incompatible use to the road corridor management plan.
So the reason for this question is that there's a plan unit development, the Fox that you showed us on the map, for future development of that as land becomes more valuable. It's very valuable now, but as density increases and expansion is required, will we be protecting these historic roads so that there's not the impact of having additional cars on these rural roads that are more commuter cars?
Yes, that was one of the considerations for settlements of LaFox, and the plan as it was approved actually had roads from the north and from the south that would divert into the subdivision so that the bulk of Brundage Road would remain a rustic road and not highly trafficked. When settlements of LaFox, if it comes back in some new form, that would go through a rezoning public hearing process, including a review of its impact on Brundage Road.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Passes.
Linder, yes.
Oh, thank you.
And just as a side note, since Drew and his wife are here, Drew and Gail were instrumental in moving forward the whole idea and bringing to fruition the Rustic Roads program that the county board eventually adopted. So thank you, Drew and Gail, for your persistence work on that before you even joined the board.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, the next petition this morning, Blair's going to bring up. This is 4602 Bliss Road LLC requesting a rezoning from F District Farming to F1 District Rural Residential. This is the map showing it on the county's 2040 plan. You can see it's in an area that is proposed for agriculture. You can see the dark green, that there's some forest preserve holdings to the east and to the north. Some proposed open space corridors connecting the two. There's an existing institutional open space, private open space, which happens to be a private golf course off of CV Road. That's that sort of turquoise color. And then the subject parcel on the west side of Bliss Road in red. Here it is on the zoning map. You can see everything white is unincorporated land that's zoned F District Farming. There's a number of gray parcels kind of throughout the map labeled F1. Those are similar to the rezoning that's being sought this morning by the petitioner. F1 is the county's zoning category for allowing existing farmsteads to be split off from farmland. This has been somewhat unique for in Kane County, but also very successful for working with our agricultural community to be able to have transitions in property, to be able to split off existing assets, in this case, the farmhouse and farm buildings, so that the land could either be retained by the family or sold off separately. It's also helped encourage continued investment and improvement in a lot of our historic homes and farmsteads, and allow for a diversity of uses, including some of the changes the county board included in their latest ag amendments for local food production and other alternative agricultural uses. So long-winded way of saying there's a scattering of F1 district parcels in the area. You see just a couple of E2 zone lots along Norris Road as well. Here's the aerial. You can see from the aerial pretty plainly that this is an area predominantly in agricultural uses. Again, you see the golf course to the west. Here's a close-up of the subject parcel. Here's a close-up. Again, you can see the driveway and buildings in the non-farmed area. Here's a plat of survey for the rezoning and for being able to split the house and buildings from the existing farmland. Here's some photos of the house. This is actually a really good case where the house has been in the family for quite some time. They have made significant investment and reinvestment in this historic home over the decades. And this will allow the estate to sell the house and have it continued and to be reinvested in a good use. It's a beautiful home, as you can see from the photos. And this is a case where we'll be working with the petitioner and any potential future owners, making them aware of our historic preservation program and some of the property tax incentives that are available to them through the state of Illinois. Here's a photo of a detached garage in one of the outbuildings. The house or the building in the upper left had been converted to what could be considered another living unit. And you'll see that in one of the stipulations, how to address that. Here's a couple of the other older farm buildings that have been adapted over the years. Kind of a general view of that part of the property with the outbuildings. Staff recommended comments. The health department wants to make sure the well and septic are included on the new parcel. King County Water Resources Department has some stipulations. Their typical one on the what might trigger a stormwater permit or detention. Staff recommended comments. The rezoning would allow the historic farmstead to be split off and sold separately from the remaining farmland. And then additional recommended stipulation that the petitioner would apply for a permit for decommissioning of the apartment to an accessory use only, not to be used as a separate dwelling unit, and that they would do that within 30 days of the county board granting approval of the rezoning request. This will help avoid any misunderstandings in the transfer of the property, that this is a single family home with accessory uses, not it's a lot that has two homes on it. Regional Planning Commission, this was not applicable. This is consistent with the county's 2040 plan, using the F1 rezoning to split off the existing home. Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval with the recommended stipulations, and it's before you this morning. And I believe the attorney for the petition, Fred Myers, is on the line as well. If there's any questions or if he wants to make any comments.
Can we get a motion a second?
I would move to approve.
Can I have a second?
All right, we have a motion a second. Any questions or comments? Madam Chair?
Thank you. The current accessory building, why is there a limitation on for not public use or private use to be able to rent that out? I can understand the accessory building could be used for a family member to stay there, but why can't it not be rented out to support larger building?
Sure. So your current zoning ordinance stipulates that there's only one principal dwelling unit per parcel. So an application of that, if they were going to have maintain that as a separate dwelling unit, it would have to be split into two separate parcels and have its own well and septic, the way the zoning is currently adopted and enforced by the county board. So that would do it. So we typically in cases where a farmstead comes in and sometimes they do have two farm residences on a single parcel. In a lot of cases, they will split that off to be two separate F1s. We always discuss that at a staff level, what's, in the best interest of the property. And in this case, the discussion led to a decommissioning of the apartment within that structure. I can go back to the photo, but it's, wasn't originally constructed to be a residence. It was adapted and oftentimes those types of adaptations are best to, continue to be used as accessory use. We don't make them take out all the living space and things that they might be able to use the structure for. But want to clarify that it's not a second dwelling.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Quick question.
Go ahead.
So what actually do they do when they decommission the?
Can you speak to the mic, sir?
Sorry about that. What's the process to decommission the property?
Sure. So we do that via the permit process. So we would have them apply. Our building permit application is a dual zoning and building permit. So by stating on their application that they are decommissioning or stating that this is an accessory use to the single family dwelling, it just clarifies for the record if somebody were to buy it, that they understand that they could use it as an accessory structure. We have large estate homes that have pool houses that have, man caves, she sheds, whatever things that are, not just your typical garage, but it's also, part of their single family use of the parcel and not a separate dwelling unit, just rented out to a separate entity. So.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Online? All right, seeing none, can we have a roll call vote?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes. All right, moving on to our planning and special projects report.
This will be the last item for me this morning.
Okay.
Our planning division, our department reports to the County Development Committee. Our planning team supports the work of several other committees, Energy and Environmental, Jobs Committee and Agriculture Committee. So we just do a summary report, some of the items to keep the County Development Committee, up to date on things. We put this on file and happy to answer any questions. One thing I want to note that's not in this report, but it's significant in that it reported on Friday to the Jobs Committee. We were anticipating attending the launch of the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership tomorrow morning down at the old post office, but that has been canceled or postponed due to the weather and some of the health conditions. So it's going to be moved to a date sometime to be announced in January. So I'm just making that note since I had announced that on Friday. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions, or you can place this on file at the end of the meeting. Be nice here in January.
All right, any questions, comments on our planning division report, staff report? All right, seeing none, we're gonna move on to our subdivisions. Environmental resource.
We just have one item under water resource this month.
Okay,
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to welcome the new committee members and the returning committee members. I am Jody Walnick, the Director of Environmental and Water Resources. And because we do run so many different programs, I will give you a brief summary of our drainage cost share program this morning before we get to the resolution, just so it gives you a little bit of background on this program. So the county itself does not have a public works department. So we do not actually own or maintain any drainage within the county, except for within Kane County Division of Transportation rights of way or county-owned property. So when we have residents that are calling us with drainage issues, if the drainage issue is occurring on their own property, oftentimes they're the ones that are responsible for that. Many of the people in the county have ownership over our creeks and streams. There'll be log jams or beaver dams or blockages that might come to our office. And unfortunately, those residents are responsible for removing those blockages under Illinois drainage law. Illinois drainage law is basically a law that states that the upstream property owner has a right to drain to the downstream property owner, but cannot do so in a manner that is injurious to that property. So if you have a sump pump discharge that's not considered natural flow and they've directed that at the neighbor's basement and the neighbor is flooding, the county does not enforce Illinois drainage law because it's a state law. So those property owners would have to take each other to court under the circuit court system. So being that we do have a lot of older subdivisions within the county, our newer subdivisions are all required since 2002 to have a homeowners association and a backup special service area to maintain the drainage within that subdivision. The initial regard to that stormwater is the HOA. If the HOA fails to perform their duties, then the special service area kicks in and we're able to levy taxes of the residents within that subdivision to collect funds to do so. So far to date, since 2002, when we started this program, we have not had to levy on any of those special service areas in reference to new subdivisions within the county. Where does that leave our older subdivisions? Basically, it's every man for themselves. So in 1993, the county board put together a program called the Cost Share Drainage Program. This program is funded 100% through riverboat funds. There's no county tax dollars that go into this program. And the program is really intended to help the residents help themselves. The residents are required to cost share with the county, so they need to put in some funds, 33% when you only have two partners, 50% if you've only got one partner. And a lot of times we partner with the road districts or smaller municipalities to get these projects accomplished. Many of these projects are very technical and they involve many properties. So it's very difficult for a single property owner to initiate and complete one of these projects by themselves. The cost share drainage program is not eligible for any newer subdivisions as of 2002. It does include Mill Creek is not eligible because that did fall under the newer stormwater ordinance. So while there's some units that predate that 2002 time, Mill Creek is not allowed to utilize any cost share funds. The residents that are coming to the county for assistance in this program, because of the technical aspects of the design and the implementation of the program, we do work with an outside consultant, Huddleston McBride Drainage Company. We've worked with them many years and they have a great history in the county and a huge knowledge base of our drainage problems. So we do go through our purchasing department every few years to go out for requests for proposals. We usually get one back, which is Huddleston McBride Drainage Company, because they are head and shoulders over the other companies. And what they provide to the county is a technical resource for residents. So residents that are experiencing drainage problems, they can call them up. They can help them with recommendations for materials. They can help them with underground investigations. And they can also help with emergency situations where pumpage is needed because we have a large flooding event or an emergency repair to the system. So today you have before you, we approved the contract with Huddleston McBride last year with 4 one-year extensions. This is the first 1-year extension to their contract. The total contract amount is up to $70,000. That's the max. So many years, if we don't have a lot of flooding events in the spring, we spend a little bit less than that. And then they are allowed up to that $70,000 for their services for any of our residents that contact us. And I'm available for any questions about the program or about the resolution.
All right, can we get a motion?
I
and a
would
second?
happily make the motion. Tom Huddleston is
Yes.
an outstanding asset for us.
Yes, this is outstanding pro. Can I get a second?
Second Berman.
All right, motion is second. Any questions or comments? I just want to say these are great programs. This is what makes being a part of the county makes us proud of being part of the county decision making. Residents have great problems and it's not easy to know how to resolve your own problem when you have these issues with basements or even yard flooding.
Wasn't it, sorry, Davis, wasn't it Tom that pointed us in the direction of the, not gonna get the words right, the land drainage
That's the Forest Reserve.
bank?
Different method.
Only on Forest Reserve? We don't,
Yeah.
I thought we had it here too.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the wetland bank?
Wetland bank.
Yeah, we do have a fee in lieu of detention program through our stormwater ordinance, and we've had a couple of large detention facilities that have gone in. One is on Kuiper's property that protects a downstream neighborhood. So basically, the water coming at the neighborhood was so great that the size of the storm sewer you would have to construct is not realistic. And so they were able to provide some of that flood attenuation upstream of the Pineview subdivision out there in Caneville Township, which helped us then to resolve the drainage problems downstream.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, could we get a roll call vote?
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams abstain.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
Passes.
All right. Thank you. So moving on, we're gonna move on to our community reinvestment.
Good morning, Mr. Ford. This is Scott Berger, the
Good
director.
morning,
of-
Scott.
Good morning. We have no items before you this morning, but I do want to take an opportunity to welcome new and returning members to the committee. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Moving on to new business, any new business? We're not gonna talk about drones on this. This is not part of transportation.
We'll just say welcome to our new chairman.
Yeah, oh, thank you. And welcome to new board members. Like, welcome to new board members. Moving on, a motion for moving the reports to be placed on file. I think the
Davis, so moved.
second.
Berman, second.
All right, roll call, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes. All right, moving on. And we may have executive session.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
May I just take a moment and recognize we have our state representative here who has stopped by, Matt Hansen. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Somebody
Yeah, thanks.
will catch you. Don't worry. So,
All right, can I get a motion, a second, to move into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, we moved to executive session to discuss the release of open or closed session minutes.
Linder, second.
All right, we have a motion, a second, roll call.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Exciting enough.
Kenyon,
Yes.
But not exciting.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford.
Okay, for everybody online that will be joining us in closed session, please accept the invite to go into the session. Be aware we are live streaming, so until I give you the word that we're all in the closed session, everything you say will still be going out to YouTube. So give us a moment and be efficient in accepting those invites.
We need a curtain pulled down.
Thank you.
Okay, you are in open session.
All right. Can we get a roll call vote?
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davis here.
Caius,
Yeah, is this for,
This is attendance.
yeah, Caius present.
Here.
Williams,
Williams present.
Ford,
Board present.
Only partly.
Deputy here.
Huron.
All right. Thank you.
Davis, I would ask for unanimous consent to accept the recommendation of the state's attorney's office on release of closed
Point of
session.
order.
Can't do unanimous.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort of an actual vote would be.
We need to
We have to do it for.
We have to
closed
do the
session.
actual.
Oh. Oh, good
All right.
try.
Well,
Just make a motion to,
but then I move that we follow the recommendation of the state attorney's office
Gotcha.
as per exhibit
for
A.
release of the closed session minutes as presented to us.
All right.
Williams second.
Williams second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Ford.
Board, yes. All right. Mr. Kenyon, do your thing.
Nothing else to come before the committee. I move we adjourn.
Davis, second.
All right. That's unanimous. We don't have to vote.
No, no.
Yeah, just,
Now you can all just holler.
Voice vote.
Now we just go. "Aye."
Favor say,
In favor.
Aye.
all opposed? Merry